Beginning by taking some deep, slow inhales and exhales. As if you could breathe through the bottoms of your feet. Resting, relaxing, unwinding. Allowing the energies of the earth to rise and meet your feet. Grounding any excess energy in the nervous system. It's really feeling the effects of gravity. Can pull you down, but it can also hold you. And gravity is what allows us to experience this moment, allowing us to be present. The word grief is rooted in the word gravity. Feeling the weight, which is heaviness, but also wholeness, completion. Gravity reminds the body that it's here now. So allowing any excess energies in the nervous system that are still present be grounded out through the bottoms of the feet. And however you connect to source, whether source within you, source above you, behind you, in front of you, however that appears, just connecting in with this. And allowing the energies of source to fill every cell of your being. And just repeating out loud. This is actually something that you do for food. This is something that I've never done for the body before, but it's apparently what we're doing right now. And just speaking to yourself out loud, it is commanded and requested that the proper atomic spin of every atomic particle in my body been in the happiest, healthiest, and proper way for me at this time. Thank you. It's done. Show me. Witnessing the nervous system being regulated in the highest, best, and healthiest way for you at this time. Just witnessing any unhealthy energies being pulled, released, cleansed, cleared from all atoms, cells, and molecules in your body. And again, just repeating to yourself out loud is commanded and requested that I be taken to the 0 point of source within. Show me. And just resting in this space for a minute or two. And just finding any remaining tension in the body. Bringing your awareness to this place and allowing that to rest relax and unwind. And just taking a moment, think of something that you're going through in your life right now that seems most difficult, just bringing it into gentle awareness. Whatever's ready to be seen in a different light at this time. You can think, just show me what's ready to resolve at a deeper level. And once you have that in your mind, just repeating to yourself internally or externally, show me the truth of this from the highest perspective of source. And just receive. Show me how source sees this. And as this is occurring, just witnessing source pulling any shame, guilt, around this issue. And replacing it with your soul's highest, best, and healthiest understandings, perspectives, and perceptions that allow this to resolve to completion in whatever way that you can receive at this time. That you know what it feels like to live without this issue, that it's possible to live without this issue. That you know how to trust yourself to grow, that you know how to trust yourself to grow, that it's possible to trust yourself to grow, that you have source's truth, definition, and value of trusting yourself to grow. That no matter what you're going through, you know how to trust yourself in the growth that you are seeing yourself through. Really seeing the energy of Ganesha moving through some of you. It's really powerful for overcoming obstacles. But in part, that energy that is coming through pretty strongly for some of you right now is related to no longer seeing the obstacle. That these are invitations. That are inviting you into more of you. And sometimes when we're used to or trained by a world to see obstacles as something other than what we are, we can fear them, put them off, deny them. But the opposite of paranoia is pronoia. To be pronoid that everything is conspiring in your favor. So whatever that obstacle is for you, can you just witness the light that you are inside of it? Whether a person, circumstance, an emotion. How is this inviting me into the fullness of who I am that I am realizing through this process? I know what it feels like to live without fear. I know how to live without fear. I know it's possible to live without fear. I have sources, truth, definition, and value of living without fear. Just downloading this across all dimensions, time, and space, throughout all languages that you speak or have spoken. And just allowing that in if that feels good to you. What else am I ready to see today? Ask yourself, ask your higher self, your spirit, God, source. What am I ready to notice? Maybe it's just something beautiful about yourself. It doesn't have to be some wild, crazy download. The only purpose of a download is to refine relationship. This is why downloads of any sort are only relevant the moment that they are relevant. They reappear when their relevancy is present again. But That flexibility in what you think you know is so important in the healing process. Because resolution already is, and you are what is already resolved. But resolution engages with different understandings, perspectives, perceptions as they are relevant. Sometimes we think we're oscillating between our high and our low self, but what if that's just a judgment towards the efficiency of whatever it is the moment requires you to see in order to move through a particular energy? The reason the work that we do is so powerful and why it shifts things so completely is because we're focusing on moving the energy specifically, not trying to become a certain way or think a certain way. This is like a very old understanding of what it means to evolve and enlighten and awaken. There's nothing you are awakening to other than what already is. And whatever layers are above what already is, that we call ego or trauma, everyone has a specific movement that's required in order to shake off the dust of what never was. So trusting the information as you get it strengthens your intuition, strengthens the connection you have with Source and the source within that you are. And some of you try to adhere to correctness or accuracy. And while that's a beautiful intention, it's driving you insane. This is what I call presence over principles. Spirituality in the past was very based in principles. In the most archaic forms, you can think of the Ten Commandments. Presence is that which always receives value. And sometimes the things that we need in order to move through to the next level of our liberation and our journey, doing them completely decimates former principles. And then that's when we feel shame, guilt arising. It's much like someone having a sexual awakening and going a little crazy because they're learning that they're free, whatever that means for them. And with so much binding in our world, collectively, ancestrally, genetically, socially, when you're going through a process of liberation, it is a sort of energy of chaos that brings this to fruition. And it's just a response to what was, that wasn't you, finally freeing itself. So presence over principles doesn't mean no morals. It means finding your morals through the basis of your presence in direct connection to source and no one else's understanding. This is the moment we are in collectively. True individuation and simultaneously joining together in collective liberation. Allowing others and ourselves to think, be, feel, see, hear, know completely uniquely. And the reason for this is because we can look at others and trust that the experience they are having is just the most efficient path towards their complete unification with source according to their direct connection. And this is why judgment is irrelevant. Judging others is just not understanding the process that they're in. We can still be discerning and we can still place boundaries around what is and isn't acceptable for us to receive. And doing so from a space of the heart is what allows us to integrate into great, to become great. Think of the word, it's not really necessarily becoming great, it's into great. You're going into the greatness that we are underneath the surface of all the dust that has settled on the brilliance that we already are. So you have never been wrong. You've just moved into further rightness for you. And that will change at different periods of time in your life. And what I'm doing by sharing all of this is releasing all sorts of conflicts in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. Around being a bad person, not being accurate to consensus reality, what is approved upon. What different spiritual teachers have shared with you, different religions. Most of the spiritual context that you're dealing with and struggling with has nothing to do with what you've learned or expanded through in this lifetime, but what's held in the genetic code of far deeper struggles, far deeper blindness to what we are, that our ancestors moved through. Part of this collective moment that we are moving through is in forgiving the ancestors for not seeing the way that we do. But they also existed in a level of density that would make us crack upon entering. So while it seems that they are incapable of seeing the light, they were the light within a form of density that is unfathomable now. So in gratitude to what they did and what they thrived or just merely survived through is in order. So witnessing your ancestors bowing out, Releasing any hooks, binds, bonds, and different aspects of your energy field. It's teaching all your ancestors what it feels like, that it's possible, and Source's perspective of what life is now. And feel like anxiety sometimes as it's releasing different things moving through the gut or the brain, different sensations. This is the energy of the ancestors still trying to look through this body, just asking for further activation, widening, expansion upon diamond consciousness throughout your entire energetic structure in the highest, best, and healthiest way for you at this time. Diamond consciousness is collective consciousness. It's what we are moving to, evolving into as a species, individuated and yet collectively connected at all times. It's the next mutation. And this is how we begin relating with consciousness in a way that honors the individual experience without being codependent with the collective or rebellious against it. Simply harmony with what is and how we are, and the chemical catalytic experience that occurs between us and others, and trusting this growth process. I know what it feels like to live without being in conflict with others. I know how to live without being in conflict with others. I know that it's possible to live without conflict with others. I have Source's truth, definition, and value of being and living without conflict with others from the highest perspective. Clearing, cleansing, releasing. Sometimes there's struggles that we're living that have nothing to do with us, but just these ancestral energies trying to find completion and resolve. Through our experience. Each of these bodies is a window into a perspective. The more that you can understand that the character that you've been playing is just a window, the more you can invite the highest perspectives of your collective consciousness to witness life through it. Do I want Barrett's perspective or Source's perspective? Not that Barrett's perspective is wrong. It's just certainly not the only one. And just feeling any descendant energy that has yet to become physical, at least from this perspective. Any messages of love and above that would be helpful for you to receive at this time in integrating and traversing your life's journey. Just allowing those messages to be received now. And just asking that whatever is for your highest, best, and healthiest at this time in your journey, according to your soul's direct connection to Source, be downloaded throughout all bodies, all layers and levels of being, physical to ethereal, in all languages that you speak or have spoken, past, present, or future. Downloading all understandings, perspectives, and perceptions, and realizations that are most beneficial and in the highest and best way for you at this time. Don't forget to let go. Any thoughts, beliefs, ideas, perceptions of yourself that are ready to be released, to be taken off like a jacket, sent back to the light. Feeling yourself really anchor back into the earth. And slowly coming back. If any of you have to go to the bathroom, now would be a good moment. Okay. Well, let's see. Still coming back myself from that. Yeah, there's a couple things that I wanted to talk about, just kind of like recapping. Trusting the flow of what is occurring in life. About a few days before my laptop broke, I had this feeling. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna have to reschedule class. And I already had like a whole other thing that I was gonna do for today. And then of course my laptop broke. So I had to reschedule class. And then all these things filtered through about literally changing the entire class. And it's actually gonna be way better than what I thought previously. But this example is like what's happening in our everyday lives, like something terrible happens, that we don't, we wish didn't happen, or whatnot, but I touched on this in the meditation as it was coming through. Paranoia and pronoia. To be pronoid, that everything is conspiring, to assist you. And that's part of presence, that's part of resolving conflicts, but it can also be a way that we escape a conflict by trying to see how things are beneficial. And sometimes things are beneficial by just getting you to be very real about how ridiculously horrible the experience that you're having is. And that's actually like, that's just honesty about your experience, and that in itself can help move energy out of your life. Like I said, things are a spectrum in healing between total compassion and absolute rage. So as beautiful spiritual people, we tend to want to go towards compassion, or naturally are in compassion, and we need to touch into the opposite in order to fully complete it. And the same goes for people who are in rage and could use a little bit of forgiveness and compassion to balance out and complete, really, the energy. And if we're in compassion, we tend to push away from rage, or if we're in rage, we tend to push away from compassion, even though going in that direction will actually help fulfill the requirements of the energy that's in your life for the purpose of movement and change and evolution. So that being said, today is prognosis, prognosis, to be in favor of gnosis. So we have pronoia, we have prognosis, but a prognosis is not necessarily a fun word that you want to hear. It's like, oh, this person has this dis-ease and this is the prognosis, where things are headed, and where you're at in that journey. But a prognosis in the context of being a medical mystic is, how am I going to facilitate the process of awakening and integration with God, which is essentially what a mystic is. Integration of relationship with God, God in all things, not God as a being. And life is, and in this moment ever more so, pushing us into unification. And after that unification is that individuation within a collective of understanding ourselves, because we have our own unique connection and flavor of spirit that is connected to everything. And we have to purge out of our body all these old ways of being that have nothing to do with who we are now and where we're going. So that's in part why we're kind of recoding these words, diagnosis, pathogenesis, prognosis, is it's removing an old understanding that's no longer relevant. And as you continue in this path and journey of healing yourself and understanding and trusting that what is occurring is in favor of your evolution, your development, it's the most efficient path forward. What does that actually look like in practical terms when you're actually going through something? So to just be live, it was, I've been watching my body die off in sections. First it was my bone marrow, then it was my spleen, And when that was happening, I was like bleeding through my skin, my liver, my brain, that's for sure happened, still happening sometimes. And I was telling my friend, I was like, my kidneys are the next organ system to like die and resurrect. And then like probably a week later after that, my body was like, you're about to pass a kidney stone. I was like, I'm fine. I think I don't not gonna spend, you know, this money on this formula. I'm not even sure I need it, you know. Of course, I know, but like, you know, even when you are ridiculously connected to your body in the way that I've developed over my whole lifetime, you still don't listen. Or maybe that's just a Taurus trait, I'm not sure. But sometimes I can be stubborn even with my own gnosis. So my body was like, you should take this formula. And I was like, I think it's okay. And so but for the next week, I started having like really weird back pain and like lower back pain, but then also like in a very specific place where I'm like, this is like totally my kidney. And I could feel it more on the like the left side, but in both sides, but definitely more in the left. And so I'm in this experience of just like pain and kind of like going into a little bit of anxiety, you know, because I don't know what's actually happening as far as like a kidney stone. Like I've never had anything like that happen. So anyways, I maybe a few days ago did this meditation because I had a conversation with a lady and it brought up a lot of just like old emotion with my last relationship, you know. And it was a very, you know, some of you that have been following my writing about that for a while know that it was a very potent connection that we shared. We didn't even speak the same language. Somehow we were ridiculously connected. And again, through the series of that falling apart, it was just so much information emotionally for my body to take in, that I just never fully processed it. And that's a superpower, and also the body needs to process things. And in the field right now, there's a big opening for grief to just complete cycles. We're also at the end of Pisces 2022, which means it's the end of 2022 energy. So we're just about to move into Aries energy, and actually move into 2023. Like every single year this happens, you know, everyone's like, oh, new year. And it's like, oh, the same shit. Yeah, because we're not actually done with it. So if you've been feeling interesting in the last few weeks, especially, that's part of it, is we're clearing up all these things that need to be completed before we move into the next energy. So I do a grief meditation, and super powerful. It's actually going to be part of homework at the end of this class today. And I mean, I was just crying and like feeling the highs and the lows and just all the content that was in that connection. Very spiritually potent relationship, us sharing a near-death experience and him resurrecting from the dead and his cancer disappearing, like all kinds of wild things, right? So the next morning I wake up and I'm like, all my back pain is gone. Like I feel very clear. And yeah, it was just very notable. So I'm talking to my mom and I'm like processing more emotion around it. And I'm telling her in this conversation, you know, all the trauma that this body has been through in this lifetime has been immense, and fortunately, unfortunately, I really wasn't aware of how much damage had been done within this body because I wasn't there for it because of those blackouts. So it's been a really interesting journey in being where I'm at consciously in a body that's like disresonant with that, and then coming in and entering that, and then kind of reverse engineering what happened. So it's really really interesting. So I'm telling her, I need to carefully and slowly deconstruct everything, because every time that I have a massive emotional release, something physically radically shifts in my body, and sometimes the symptoms are very intense. So I'm telling her this, and then I pause and take a break, and then I go to the restroom, and I pee out a kidney stone that felt like acid knives like ripping through my urethra. And the energetic weight that was lifted in the moment of that occurring was insane. And that lifting of psychic weight out of my body was like all this grief that my energy body was holding on to in a particular way, that like all these other things that I wanted to get done in my life I was not able to do, because there was some part of my energy that was holding this down, essentially. So, a lot of us are going through fatigue and chronic fatigue issues, or just exhaustion on ways that we wouldn't normally call fatigue. But what's actually happening is there's this shift of energy where the amount of energy it takes to hold things in or completely suppress it within the energy body, is it takes more energy to do that than it does actually to just release it. And just like myself, many of us are not actually aware of the trauma that we're actually holding, because, and the reason for this is like, you are already such a perfectly aligned soul in human form, and yet through all those layers of dust that I was talking about, we've built this sense of self or personality that actually isn't us. And when we're getting triggered, it's those bits of information that are being released. So when we're talking about interior design and the fact that symptoms arise after conflict resolves, it's important to just be gentle with yourself, because after this kidney stone pass, intuitively I was like, oh yeah, this is my ex, like literally leaving my body physically. And so I look for reference in this book, and kidney stones. And the inquiry is like, do you have any deep partnerships or forgiveness that you haven't fully come into completion with? And so it's interesting that I complete that cycle, and then the kidney stone releases. And the kidney part was also related to a very similar thing. So it's just interesting how when we clear these energies, the body's designed to heal itself, reform itself. But each of the organs, the tissues, the cells, they each hold a particular code of consciousness. And that code of consciousness is, so to speak, a virtue or a value that your soul desires to learn. So when I asked earlier about vision, it's how are we seeing ourselves? Because the exercise that we're going to do later is called alter ego, and essentially that's your higher self, but that higher self who sees you from source's perspective. And so that dissonance between how you see yourself now and how your highest self sees you and sees life that distance between those two places would be issues with vision, you know? And so this is how I track what I know is about to happen, because time is a curve. So just like the full moon, you know, it's like leading up to the full moon, there's an increase in the energy, and then coming down from the full moon, there's like an integration or a sliding back into kind of normal levels of energy. And there's so many different things that are happening all at once. You know, the moon, you have solar cycles, all these different things. So it's just to note that you are aware of things before they even occur. So resolution can become hold up for a second. Symptoms arise after resolution of conflict. This is German New Medicine. This is New Medicine, German healing knowledge. These are things that we're going deeper into later in the course. Still recognizing this is only the third class. We are still very foundational and just kind of building these little pieces out for everyone. But if you fully absorb that idea that symptoms only arise as a result of the resolution of a conflict or toxicity, but that's a little, it's another little piece. So toxins can create symptoms, but as far as most symptoms that you're experiencing, they're not related to toxicity. They're just related to conflicts that the body is having resolving. And the more that you begin to trust your body, the more that you can look up in these reference guides, which I'll be sharing in the group, in the band app later. You can begin decoding and understanding, because again, we're like rewriting an entire language of understanding how reality works. And this is something I've been doing my whole life and have been increasingly doing it, you know, in the last couple of years as I go through massive trauma resolution in physical form. So as life is pulling us into the body more and more and asking us to integrate, we're going to move through what we move through consciously, but through the physical aspect of the body. So you know, spirituality then becomes really practical in the sense of it's how we're relating to the things in our life. So, you know, consciously, I already forgave my ex for the things that occurred. But grief is closure. Grief is the gravity, it's the weight, it's like allowing it to fully take you. And so many of us are we're locked in survival mode. We're trying to survive our life rather than to just receive that we've survived. That some element of us is still here, still moving forward. And many of us aren't honoring that. And grief is what, if we're preventing grief from fully moving through, what we're preventing is really the success of that story. And the success doesn't mean that it was something favorable that we enjoyed necessarily, although we can grieve things that were very happy. It just means that it was successful in completing its journey with you in the ways that it was designed to pull you forward. And that's why, again, can you see the light within the thing, person, event, circumstance that is pulling you forward into the most full expression of yourself? Because your light is the seed core of everything around us in life. Throughout all the things that are occurring, it's your light that is calling you forward into the fullness of expression that you already are, but you're moving into the greatness that you are to understand the integration of your soul in human form, not just know about it, but to really become that greatness within yourself. And it's not gonna be easy, you know? It's like sometimes parts of ourselves need love, and sometimes they just need, it's time to grow up. And it's a delicate balance between those two places, and both are love. The first time I forgave my dad on one level was in 2012. And I saw in this vision him abusing me, but in that vision, the light that made up his body was me. And I was like, oh, got it. I was abusing myself to accelerate my journey into who I am now. And without that, I wouldn't be who I am today. And people say that all the time in the healing journey and spiritual circles, like, oh, you know, it's helping, it's character development or all that. No, but it's like, seriously. Seriously. Like, that, really grasping that and understanding, how are these things developing me? Because when you change your relationship with it, that in itself can resolve conflicts, and that in itself can heal the body. It's funny, I was like, you know, the kidney stone passed, and I was like, oh, there's like 2 more kidney stones in there that I could feel. And then being more refined to what a kidney stone energetically feels like, then I could tune in to differentiate that there was like 2 more, and I could feel exactly what they were related to. And I was like, oh, I just need to do a grief meditation on this person and that thing. Perfect. So the process of healing, because here's the other thing, we think, sometimes some of us think that in order to manifest a miracle healing, we need to be of a certain vibration and consciousness. Not true. We just need to act within a particular relationship of a higher quality than where we're at right now. And the greater the difference between what was and what we're creating through re-relating, the more powerful the transformation and the more quick that it arises and manifests in physical form. Again, just warning you that the more extreme that is, the more extreme the symptoms are. Because symptoms are showing you, symptoms only can show up in, they're showing up as a resolution, right? So when you really, again, taking this in, everything that allopathic medicine calls a dis-ease, for the most part, is literally just conflicts being resolved. But we've been hypnotized by a understanding of life that says, oh my God, like I have these symptoms, I shouldn't have them, and I need to take this thing or do that thing in order to prevent symptoms. And yet everyone knows, you look at, hear any of those commercials, like how many symptoms come with those things. So it creates this whole cycle of fearing symptoms and dissociating from your journey spiritually. focusing on a material good to provide you something that you're not capable of re-relating to in that moment. And that's not wrong. There have been times that my body knew I wasn't ready for the complete resolution of a particular conflict in my life because of how extreme some of those traumas have been. And I definitely took allopathic medicine for them. Right? So it's like presence over principles. Be in presence with the body. Ask it questions. I've been in quote unquote life-threatening health situations where I'm like, the doctor's saying this thing and my body is telling me this, and I'm like, I think I'm fine. I'm actually just going to listen to myself and trust my own body. And wow, things keep working out. It's weird. The thing that people are actually fearing when it comes to symptoms oftentimes is not actually even the symptom or the dis-ease that they're told they have or think they have, or medical Googled, which I definitely don't recommend doing because you can freak yourself out and create more conflicts and thus more symptoms. Um, my mind just got wiped. um, mm, just trusting your body, presence over principles with everything when it comes to the body, and trust the body over anything else. I don't care if it's a Western medicine, a Western medicine reference point, or Louise Hayes, or theta healing, or Reiki, whatever. Because the thing is that all of these informations are lenses through which other people have seen, and they are resources. Go directly to source and ask source's perspective. Ask your body, which is the deepest connection to source. Your body is like the deepest servant of source to you. It has been keeping you alive and running a quantum processing computer 24/7 to make sure that all the various fluctuations and variables that are occurring in your body at any moment are serving your existence. Ask the intelligence in that. And the more that you cultivate that connection, it will far outpace anything that I can bring to the table for you or any other resource. And that is the relationship that will reformulate, recode, and rejuvenate every single relationship that you can have, is when you can trust that connection that you have with source. And that's why oftentimes when I'm doing recodes for other people, it's like, yeah, I'll get like specific things, but also recode this according to your soul's direct connection to source. Because there's that intelligence that's far beyond anything that I could imagine. It's again praying for the miracle. When you're praying, it's I pray for what is greater than I could even dream of asking to receive for myself. Because it's beyond what is able to be imagined. And eventually the miraculous just becomes the new science. Eventually everything that we're doing here will just be commonplace for society. Oh, you're having digestive issues, like what are you not assimilating in your life emotionally? You're fatigued. What character are you playing out that you're exhausted of being? Pressure in the lungs. So many people this last week were messaging me with like pneumonia and bronchitis and like all kinds of things, and I'm just like, grief, 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 because life moves in these waves. There was actually something I saw, it was just like one sentence. I didn't read it, but actually Matt Kahn said something, and he said, um you're, I'm gonna totally butcher it, but basically basically you're not moving through the moment, the moment is moving through you. And this is how I've always seen it, as we're these like stationary elements, and there are waves of information that come in. And people are always like, how do you know psychically what's going on inside of me without even, it's just like, because there's waves of energy and we're all having our unique experience of what that is, but it's all going to show up differently, but relatively similar to like what's going on, you know? So the energy that is currently penetrating the planet is assisting in completions in grief. So things that are ready to be moved out, old characters that are ready to like die and move on, so that what is true can fully arise, can fully integrate, can fully be formed. Imagine if all the things that you thought you needed to heal in your life, all you needed to do was take off the identity of what you were. What if you didn't need to go through all the things in your life that were so traumatizing and rework each of them? And yet you still can and might. But oftentimes it's interesting how just releasing an identity of self, the hurt version of you, it's constantly cycling in the same things over and over and over again. What if you just take off that story? And certain people, want to feel comforted in their story. But what they're really comforted by is grief, because that's what's most familiar, but not the grief that actually completes or grieves, but the kind of grief that goes on because it's a sad story that creates an addictive loop to the chemicals in our body that sadness produces. So you can become addicted to emotions. You can become addicted to identities. There's even genetic addictions, epigenetic issues that are going on in the family line, cyclical trauma. Oh, all the men in that side of the family, feel that way. What about your particular stream of consciousness connection with that family line? What about that is so addictive? And are you ready to release the story of what was? And it's painful. It's painful because there's a sick, twisted form of empowerment that comes from being traumatized. And that's what we call in new medicine a hanging healing. Because we would rather have something wrong with us just so that we can get enough attention. That's where it becomes twisted and addictive, because the attention that we get while we're sick or in a track of emotion that keeps repeating, we have something familiar that we can latch on to, even if it's actually causing us pain. And we also have something, a point of focus that allows people to offer us their attention, which is addictive, oxytocin. And that's a hungry spirit within us that can live for long periods of time without even really our permission. So just becoming aware of these push-pull places. In our life, where do we keep pushing? We keep cycling and we try to push it away. Are we actually trying to push that away? Or are we just trying to we push like that part of ourselves that we don't want is on a swing. And we keep pushing the swing, knowing it's going to come back to us. I haven't thought about one of those swings in a long time, but it'd be kind of cool to have one. It's like one of my favorite things as a kid. All recess on the swing set. So just bringing one of those situations to the forefront of your mind. Someone just wrote about how they notice their back issue and that they're hesitant to be honest about it, that it's feeling better because they're still hanging on to its healing process. So fascinating the ways in which we want something to be wrong with us on some level, because that means that we'll get attention. And so that's where we can kind of do a form of what we call digging work. What's the benefit of me holding on to this? What would be so scary if I completely let go? What would I have to trust in order to heal? And then thinking about the body like a poem. Funny, I have a sun. You can't see it because only half of me is burnt right now. All the backside of my body. And there's this book, this reference book. Again, I'll put all this in the group. And it talks about different sides and parts of the body are related to different people or things, right? So the whole back of the body, almost the entire part is others. and then there's like the lower half of the body, which is like self. But for the most part, it's the back of the body. And it's just interesting because I went through just a couple days before, like a real feeling like burned by someone. And obviously there's the mechanics of like, yeah, I laid in the sun too long, whatever. I'm not someone that really burns either, so that's really interesting. I also haven't spent that much time in the sun, so maybe there's that. But there's just like poetically these things move through, that's why, someone's like, oh, I saw a butterfly, and it's like, I'm going through transformation or whatever. It's like, yeah, the thing is separate from it, but it's everything is connected. So noticing, just picking up on how the patterns and things in your life are moving through generally at the same time. My friend stubbing his toe, after like not wanting to, not wanting to engage with someone in a particular way, and then stubbing their toe, and then having this experience, it's like you're like colliding with something moving forward that you wish you could move forward in other way, but you end up just colliding with it. Stops you in your path. The kidneys, like what just happened, bone marrow, feeling supported. I was again talking this morning with another friend, like when you're intaking minerals, poetically, minerals are support for the body. So high dosing minerals you're going to have lots of support coming in, and it's going to be pushing all energy out of the body where you felt unsupported. And every time, because I'm in this long process of like high dose mineral remineralization of the body, every time I start another mineral cycle, I go through like just these old, like childhood feeling unsupported washing out. Because when you have high potency energy coming in of a higher vibration, it's able to push out of the cells of your body all that's not in resonance with the incoming. So that's why complimenting yourself, loving yourself, all of those sorts of things are very potent in the journey. But again, as we were just saying and looping this all back together, we can create hanging healings when the symptoms arise, thinking, oh my God, something is wrong, when actually the symptoms are just showing you what's resolving. So again, every symptom is just showing you that something is ready to resolve. So, and you can ask your body. I always recommend like talking to your body and asking, what is going on. Even if you just get a relaxation in your body from your body understanding that you're connecting with it and it's not there like alone, it's powerful to begin opening that channel of communication. So today, in many ways, prognosis being prognosis. What are you afraid of finding out? Is it how bad you perceive yourself to be? How incompetent you feel you are? How shameful, regretful, guilty, how far behind you are? That's a big one for everyone. We always think we're supposed to be somewhere other than we are. It's the weirdest human quality that we have. Show me a human that has never experienced that. I would like to know. When we can find out what we're so afraid of finding out, we're more inclined to ask and actually get accurate answers. If the answer that you get when you're doing these self inquiries, especially when they're related to health issues, and it's something that's wrong with you, there's something deeper. It may be something wrong about how you've related, and it's an invitation into a deeper relationship with something. Absolutely could be that. But something wrong with you personally, incorrect information. Always go like at least 3 layers deeper than the first answer that you get. What if you ask and you don't get anything someone asks? What would be so bad about not knowing? What comes up when we don't know? That's what I would be curious about. This actually comes up a lot, especially when working in like psychic intuitive development, or like not getting answers. Like, what does it mean if I don't get any information? This is actually super helpful for a few of you on here. And sometimes we don't get answers because the answer would everything in your body is always trying to protect you and move towards greater health. So if there's something that you uncover that would be kind of devastating to your understanding of yourself, there's a part of your psyche that can protect you. So there's just layers and to who wrote this question, this is not specifically to you. I'm not diagnosing what is going on for you. I'm saying in general, this is important to understand, that there's these layers of protection that we can have around what a deeper part of ourselves already knows is true, or that we need to move through. And sometimes the information that we're getting is literally, it's so nuanced when we really get into it, because sometimes the information that is received is only designed to move the energy that is required. So it's like, you know, some people might take the answer of like, oh, blah, 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 here's the question, I'm bad. And then they hear that information, they take that as like, this is factual. When actually just hearing I am bad brings up the feeling of that so that that can release. So don't necessarily always listen to, just stay curious with everything when it comes to the body. The more that you exist in awe and wonder and curiosity about the body, the less conflicts you're going to keep creating, the more expansion you're going to be able to create, the more space that you're going to have in how you're relating to any symptom, experience, disease, disorder that the body is experiencing and moving through. And it's also how you'll be able to work with clients in a more fruitful manner, because it's the tendency of human beings to want to have things to be so concrete so that they can feel safe. And again, it's like, especially when you're working through really big issues in the body and the weight of like Western medicine and what it says about whatever it is that you're experiencing, it's simply having the arrogance to be like, I'm okay. And what provides that level of arrogance is a connection to God. If I was designed to know that, you know, something, I need to go to the doctor right now for an emergency, like you would fucking know if you needed to go to the emergency. It would be obvious, especially in today's era. Right now, energetically, everything is becoming more obvious. So if things are out of alignment, it will become more obvious. And that's why a lot right now for people, there's so many people messaging me about different diseases or disorders or things that they're going through physically. And the scary thing is it's like, oh my God, my body's falling apart. And it's actually you being resurrected. Because the truth of your being is coming through and it's ready to dissolve all that isn't you. So conflicts are being resolved. But some of these people aren't allowing their conflict to actually resolve because they're in fight with life still, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. No one wants to experience, these wild symptoms, It's like I was on the phone with my mother the other day and, oftentimes I have never felt heard by her. And my whole life I've had really weird issues in my left ear. And, there's so many elements when things are like have developed over our lifetimes. There's so many elements and things that plug into these different areas. So things heal in a process. And so it's trusting that process. When I've had massive activations of my intuition, I've had things heal in that eel like instantly. But I was talking to my mother and she said something in a way that, she's in her own healing journey, right? So it's like she has moved to a different place in her journey, and then how we're relating in that area now is different than it was in the past. And then I'm feeling that shift in our connection. And all of a sudden, I feel all this warmth in this left ear and just like a melting, a dissolving away of something that was there. Who knows what it was? I've had cysts pop like that before. When something shifts. So it's just interesting to note that everything is perfectly purifying you. It's perfectly purifying you. And trusting that. It's like you can be totally decimated by life. And it's funny, the other day, my body was having like such crazy, personally, I can't imagine a single moment in my life where I would take Western medicine anymore. I just personally, I could not. After I took Cipro and it destroyed my body, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start psychically healing infections instead, instead of working with antibiotics. But anyways, so ever since then, my body is extremely overreacted to mosquito bites. Like insane. So like my ankles, like in the jungle, and I'm just trusting this whole process of like the mosquitoes are drawn to heat and inflammation, which means that there's agitation in these areas where they are attracted to, which means that it needs to come out. And they are the force of life, which is providing me the experience required to extract what is ready to go. This is how deep I take this like really seriously. It's like the integration, the medical mystic, to understand that everything that is happening in the body is on purpose and for a reason, and it is for us. That is how to be pro-gnosis, completely converting what prognosis means. And so I trust that, you know, the inflammation from the mosquitoes is assisting the process of extracting whatever agitation of the old self that is leaving is ready to be removed. And so there was that. There was like a few other things. I had just passed the kidney stone, and my friend was like, "Oh my gosh, like, are you okay?" And it's just interesting because, like, yeah, I was going through a lot, but I was actually just like kind of blissed out of my mind because I'm realizing that so much is resolving in that moment. So we can be going through all kinds of crazy things and experiencing it from a place of joy and ease, even simultaneous with the agitation. And trust me, living in the jungle and having a bajillion, a literal bajillion mosquitoes attacking you, and knowing that that is poetically a form of little things bothering me. So where in my life have little things bothered me, right? And I'm just letting all that old agitation leave the tissues of my body as what is coming in resurrects this form in a whole new capacity than what was known by that former character. And knowing when to use supportive resources. It's like I mean, I've taken homeopathic medicine for, you know, on and off. Like I really, it's one thing that I've never looked into. I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, I feel like it works. So I don't know. And I started taking the homeopathic medicine for mosquito bites and homeopathic systemic arnica, you know, swelling and pain and all that stuff. So between those two things, like in the last like literally 72 hours, my body is no longer like one mosquito bite. Like if it bit my finger, like my finger would be the size of a hot dog. Like it was crazy. Um, but homeopathy works in the same way that we work with in orthobionomy and Chinese medicine, where you're moving further in the direction that allows the body to come into completion. For example, in Chinese medicine, if you have a liver issue, they teach you to eat liver. Heart issue, eat heart. Like heals like. In homeopathy, it's the same thing. So, you know, if you wanted a homeopathic medicine to stop crying, you would use onions, right? Something that actually encourage you further in the direction. So by taking this microscopic essence of the mosquito irritant, my body was able to re-regulate itself into how it was responding to this stimulus. And now I get a mosquito bite and it's like a normal person, you know, and actually their mosquitoes are less attracted to me, but also that old self that was like big things in my life, you know, if you know my life story, it's like big things, no big deal. You're going to rate me, no big deal. I'll just move forward, move through the process of whatever I need to, you know, all the different things that I've been through in this life experience. No big deal. It was like the little things that would always bother me. So it's just funny how we relate to issues and how they get resolved. And then in the same reference book, you're looking up insect bites, and it's like, what little things bother me, you know? So there's like all these poems to how the body is moving energy, and just trusting that that process is assisting you is pro-gnosis, pro-integration. I like this term that came to me, like medical mystic, you know? A medical medium, many of you know his work, and I love a lot of his stuff. Medical medium. A medium is one who's like channeling God, channeling spirit. A medical mystic will be someone who's going through the medical process of integrating God, integrating spirit, unification with spirit in a medical sense. So anyways, trusting that all of these processes, the symptoms, the things that occur, the accidents, the, you know, whatever it is that you're going through, breaking a shoulder, you know, having an animal go through a process that you love, assisting you in grieving things that haven't been grieved. All of these things are assisting us to process energy that hasn't been processed yet. And when it is processed, the same thing could happen, and it wouldn't even create the same response, because there's nothing left. And that's when you graduate. That's when you graduate certain signs, symptoms, diseases. Like when a disease is done teaching you something, there's no reason for it to exist in your body anymore. Like, I don't, for me, it just seems so obvious. So sorry, I'm laughing. But when you're finished with a disease, there's no reason for it to exist anymore. Just like when you're done, you know, dating people who aren't worthy of what you have to offer. And not that they aren't worthy, but come on, like, let's be honest. Like, there's people that aren't capable of loving you in the same way that you can love them. And honoring that, recognizing that, facilitating that is love for yourself and for others. Just honoring the truth in everything. So important in the process that we're moving through right now. And some of these things, especially if we're super codependent, can feel selfish, or that we're harming others. But as we move in over the next few years, there's going to be so much activation of diamond consciousness, of coming into this collective understanding through an even more individuated form. Simultaneous, it's like going into the extremes to complete it and to create a third form, which is outside of any understanding that most humans on the planet have at this moment in time. So we have to complete all issues around codependency to the collective, and all issues of rebelliousness as it relates to the individual, and coming into a harmonious place within ourselves. Our cells. Your cells are the collective consciousness that you exist in. Everything inside of you is a part of your collective consciousness. I've taken antibiotics before and felt a part of my consciousness dying, because what is aware within this body is a collective consciousness. Like when we're going on cleanses, like there can be so much energy that's coming up, and a lot of times it's literally what doesn't want to die, trying to survive inside of you. everything feels justified in its existence and right. That doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, like consumption of sugar. Sometimes when you're doing cleansing for like yeast or fungus candida, these kinds of things, your consumption of sugar keeps them alive, but it also creates a high that prevents you from feeling the emotions that those fungus candida, etc., are related to. So resentment, anger, that's like kind of a bitter, hard flavor, and then we move towards sweet in order to counterbalance that bitter hardness that's energetically within our field. And I love sweet stuff, but passing that kidney stone and all energetically everything that was tied into that leaving my body, suddenly I have zero desire, like almost zero desire for anything sweet, and it's not like I'm just like pounding white sugar. It's definitely not it. But even like honey or like, actually that's kind of like the only sweet that I have, but like honey, it's like less of that in my life. Just play with what's going on, and just kind of over the next couple weeks before our next class, and we're not done yet, but I'm just saying, become aware of the things that don't want to leave and what's trying to live within you, what's trying to continue surviving, and what do you need to resolve in order for that point of your life to complete. Is it grieving a version of yourself, a version of others, a dream or a hope that has not and may never come to pass? And again, just remembering that sadness is always wishing for less than what you're destined to receive. Life, through the process of grief, isn't going to take anything that's more for you away. Although from one level it can look like that, and you're being moved into greater simplicity. But on so many different levels, life is moving us into greater simplicity, and it's actually complexity that we need to grieve. Anything above, I'm okay, I'm safe, my body is healing, it's manifesting resolution, all aspects of my life are manifesting resolution. Anything above that is essentially confusion and complexity. So, again, today is the final foundational class. So, to really begin anew, especially as we're about to move to Aries season, actually 2023 energy. We're going to start with a whole new foundation so we can move into this next section of the class and our lives in 2023 with a new foundation, but also something new to call in, to shift perspective and to hold a higher perspective than we're used to, while letting ourselves release what is ready to be finished. So this is actually going to be a full class in and of itself, called Alter Ego, Devotional Metamorphosis, which is not ready to be done yet, but it will be in a couple weeks, I think. But alter in the sense of ALTAR instead of ALTER. And this originally came to me when I was in Los Angeles, and I met this actress who was a celebrity photographer in Mumbai. And she said that she always wanted to become an actress, but she was sort of intimidated and never felt ready to actually do it. And so she created this alter ego called Rhonda Reddy, and she would channel her whenever she would go to auditions and all these things. So that was my first introduction. And then I was reminded about this alter ego where you create this persona of, and this is actually like a technique that people use, right? You create an alter ego where, you know, all its strengths are your weaknesses. All the things that you think are impossible, it just naturally does, like no big deal. It's living out its highest dreams, you know, all of these qualities, things that you would wish for your highest self, right? But that got me to thinking about what it would be like to actually go through a meditation and bring into focus all of the things that are ready to be resolved, having us meet our higher self and really feeling that in our bodies. What does this feel like? How do they respond? How do they move through the world? How do they think about themselves? Like, all of these qualities that, you know, in the spiritual journey we try to perfect ourselves into being. What does it feel like to just actually be that? Then receiving a name, and in life, when you're going through something that is very difficult, having this higher energy, higher self with a name or some calling, something that you can call to, that you can embody that energy as you're moving through something, you know. So for me, I've already done this, and in moments where I kind of falter into quote unquote lower programming, or just basically instead of recognizing something, oh yeah, like even I forget sometimes, you know, like, oh yeah, this is resolving, duh. And then, you know, upon that realization, the energy moves and shifts. What would their response be? How would they exist in this moment? How would they trust? What would they do? All the ways in which that energy would interact and interface with the world. And it just allows you to be sort of an actor and actress and playing that part until it's so integrated that the two become indistinguishable. So that's sort of the exercise. Yeah, so just getting relaxed. I'm gonna put a fold over my eyes for this one. Okay. Just allowing the energies of the earth to rise and meet your feet. Pulling any excess energies out of the nervous system and opening up to source. Allowing this energy to raise the frequency of every cell, particle, and molecule in your body, physical to ethereal. And just opening up the field for activation, embodiment, integration of the higher self. For each of you in the highest, best, and healthiest way at this time. Show me. Bringing to your awareness you might already know all these qualities that you wish were different, ways in which you respond that seem disempowered, lacking in the full truth of your expression. And just speaking out loud to yourself, it is commanded and requested that the aspects, qualities, traits, and ways of being that I have participated in or expressed that are ready to be complete and finished, to make themselves obvious at this time. Thank you, it's done. Show me. And as you're interfacing with these pieces, just asking your angels, your guides, your direct connection to source, to download you with the insights, the understandings, the perspectives, the perceptions that assist you in resolving these energies in the highest, best, and healthiest way. Pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing all tendencies anywhere and everywhere where you have attempted to rush your journey. All beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, and perceptions related or associated to rushing the journey, resolving these to completion, sending it back to the light. that you know what it feels like to be where you are, that you know that it's possible to be where you are, how to be where you are, that you can live your daily life being where you are, that you know how to be where you are and appreciate it, that you know that it's possible to appreciate where you are, that you can appreciate where you are, that you have the affection and acknowledgement of where you are, and that you have sources, truth, definition, and value of appreciating where you are from the highest perspective. Just witnessing all distances between where you are and energies that are unresolved in your body, mind, and spirit that think they should be anywhere other than where they are, closing these distances, asking that any beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions that result in distance between where you are and where you think, feel, or understand yourself should be or could be. Deleting, releasing, purifying all guilt, shame, doubt, resolving these to completion in the highest and best and healthiest way for you at this time. Anywhere and everywhere where the energy is held in your body for self-rejection, rejecting the self, rejecting value, rejecting worthiness. Anywhere and everywhere in your body, mind, and spirit where this is held, recorded, and retained, asking that this be resolved, released to completion, cleansed, and cleared from all layers and levels of being known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered, and replaced with your soul's direct connection to source, unconditional love and light, and the highest, best, and healthiest understandings, perspectives, and perceptions at this time. And from this space of deeper relaxation and resolve, just allowing yourself to be immersed in the radiance of your higher self, your soul's highest expression of who you are, feeling and perceiving the warmth of your soul's light in its highest expression. And letting this permeate every particle of your being, physical to ethereal. Allowing this warmth and light to transmute any energies that are ready to be completely resolved now. Witnessing old programming in the mind, the body conscious, the body subconscious, rewriting, regenerating tissues, Just going deeper and deeper, allowing the light of your soul's highest expression to get brighter and brighter. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? How confident is this presence of you? Just allowing aspects of this energy that are ready to walk in to this body and fully inhabit as the truth of your being. So witnessing old parts of you sliding out of place and being sent back to the light. And these higher aspects of your consciousness pouring in through the top of your head, filling the body with Source's light, your soul's direct connection and expression of that light. The fatigue of old versions of yourself being pulled from the spine. And as it's pulled, greater light being pulled into the central channel of your being. Feeling a holy fire in the lungs, burning out all old, incomplete breaths, unresolved memories held within these tissues, being laid to rest and ash at the altar of your highest self, ready to be made manifest. And witnessing these old parts of yourself that are ready to move on, seeing symbols of each of them being set on the altar. As part of your devotional metamorphosis, understanding what's ready to be done, as more of your highest self's energy that is already made manifest integrates into physical form. Relating to all the things in your life in new ways, and rebalancing your digestion in the highest and best way. Any shame in the form of nausea being released from wherever it is held in any cell, particle, or molecule in the body. So witnessing your angels and your guides assisting this process that Source and your soul's direct connection to Source are administering on your behalf, as you, through you, for you. So witnessing books of karma being closed, cleansed, cleared, cut, and the space that this opens up being filled by your highest self. Witnessing symbols of old stories that are ready to be completed. And maybe there are none. But just placing these symbols on the altar. Feeling your soul's light enter the bones, bone marrow, restructuring all the particles of your bones down to the quantum level in accordance to your soul's highest truth that's ready to embody at this time. This can be very tender, feelings of fragility, places where you felt unsupported by life, being rooted out, held into complete resolve and placed on the altar of your highest consciousness. Placing symbols on the altar of any dis-ease or disorder held by the old character that inhabited your body on the altar of your soul's highest expression. Old cyclical thoughts and feelings, whatever has been most prevalent as worries or concerns. And placing these on the altar as well. And just saying out loud to yourself, it is commanded and requested that I meet and greet my higher self, the highest aspect of my soul's embodiment that is ready to be and be inside of me at this time. Thank you. It's done. Show me. Show me the qualities, the traits, the talents, the gifts and abilities of this that I am now. Show me the name of my higher self. Show me what I am ready to see at this time. And whether you receive a name or not, tapping into the energy can even command that energy to turn up its volume to make itself more obvious. It is commanded and requested that the volume, the presence, the radiance of my higher self be turned up so as to make itself known for integration and embodiment throughout. Integration and embodiment throughout every cell of my being. Thank you, it's done. Show me. Can feel very light, expansive, holy, like you're in the presence of God. Or it can feel empty, mysterious, blank. Some of you are oriented to the fullness of spirit, while others the emptiness of spirit. And either is just as beautiful as the other. And as you're sitting there, just commanding and requesting that any wiring within your being, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, that according to your soul's direct connection to source is ready to be rewired, restored, regenerated to the highest capacities of this higher energy within you that is you. Be done completely now with grace, ease, mercy, and mercy and ease to all things from the physical to the ethereal. Asking that any kinks or breaks or turns within the central channel of your being that lead to any distortions in this energy to be cleansed, cleared, purified, released. All identities, attachments, understandings, perspectives, and perceptions that lead to these distortions in the energy field also to be released with grace and ease. And restructuring and spinning the energy in the correct order in accordance to this integration of your highest self within the root chakra, reformulating, restoring, rejuvenating this to your original form and function as the highest aspect of your spirit that you are. And for the sacral, the same. And any emotional content or unconscious emotional data that's ready to be released, cleansed, cleared, purified out of the body from physical to ethereal, be done so now. And filling it with the light of your higher self, your soul's direct connection to source. And reforming, restructuring, rejuvenating all aspects of being related or associated to the solar plexus. Releasing all that's ready to be resolved and replacing it with your soul's direct connection to source, this highest aspect of your higher self that's ready to be embodied, integrated, and expressed through personal and divine will now. And the same for the heart. Recognizing that regardless of how your heart feels in this moment, whether it feels heavy or light, it's just the way your heart naturally is. You don't need to have an open heart, just a natural heart, which it always is naturally how it is. Feeling your soul's higher self plug into the heart chakra, releasing all old doubts, destructive habits, ways of being or feeling that are incomplete and incongruent and incompatible to your highest expression of self as you have met now. And for the throat, releasing, purifying, cleansing all out of the throat that's ready to be completed, restructuring, recoding, rejuvenating it according to your soul's highest truth that is available to be embodied at this time. Allowing this aspect of your being to have conversations of completion, whether known or unknown, remembered or forgotten, whether spiritually or physically, emotionally, mentally, whenever they are best to be completed on your behalf or through speaking or writing as is necessary. Good sun, show me. And for the third eye, feeling this sort of brick-like energy, all these old thoughts, ideas, beliefs, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions that are incongruent and incompatible to the integration embodiment of your higher self at this time, be released, sent back to the light, and replaced with your soul's highest, best, and healthiest understandings, perspectives, and perceptions. That assists the integration and embodiment of your higher self, the fullest expression of your soul that is ready and available at this time. Thank you, Shami. And for the crown, seeing it so clearly vibrating with your direct connection to source, shaking, releasing, vibrating off all stagnant energy that is incongruent and incompatible. To your direct connection to source. Just asking that any remaining energies that are ready to be resolved in this process that your soul wishes to download, integrate, or embody throughout all layers and levels of being, physical to ethereal, past, present, future, in all languages that you speak or have spoken. Asking that this be done now. Anything that's ready to be resolved and completed to be released to the light now. And just asking the angels of integration to continue integrating these energies in the highest and best way for you. At the best time as you sleep or when you're not thinking about it. And allowing all the integrations to occur with grace, ease, and mercy to the physical and all things affecting the physical to the ethereal. That they occur without any signs or symptoms in order to know that it is already done. Thank you, Sean. Slowly coming back.